will not exist anymore.
At all.
Yes. So that's the progress at this point in time. Is that trending there? Matter of fact, that's kind of been some of the discussion in the LSA analysis, is that the supplement, they're hoping that really comes down to zero.
But does some of that transition over into the regular income tax receipts and just isn't provided as a supplemental, or the basic income tax is maintained and those?
So once you go, maybe I'll answer this. Once you go to your 1.2% rate, that will be more true income, true rate, true adjusted, what I mean by income, adjusted gross income. So the answer is you probably will not, you'll get real dollars, not hypothetical dollars with real dollars coming later on. Okay, you'll have it. So income and the tax rate will get aligned and they'll stay aligned, and you won't have supplemental after that.
So they're going to be paying like monthly what actually comes in. They're not going to be smoothing it out.
That's the suggestion in the analysis to the bill. Yes.
That was my question. If we're not going to have a supplemental anymore, it's an estimate when they do the lit. So, we don't actually get that money for that year. So how are they going to do that to make sure nobody comes up on the short end?
Carefully.
The state? Okay.
So
remember, I'm the state, and I'm here to help you.
So
Oh, boy.
are we going to get a one-time bump in because they hold a balance at the state
Jim,
level?
I will not go out on that diving board with you.
Last year, refresh my memory, we had never budgeted as if we were receiving supplemental income tax. And I think last year, for the first time, we said, this is consistent enough that we are going to go ahead and approve general fund expenses with some of this money.
1 million,
So.
what we agreed on.
And so last year's budget was approved as if that supplemental income tax would be perpetually offsetting some of those things we agreed to perpetually expend, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, because you said we might decide to spend down balance. The answer may be, it may be decided for you.
Right, no, more like, yeah, we'll be forced, yeah.
Unless, again, I've heard more things being stalled off, and I've heard more HR departments across the state of Indiana saying, we're all in agreement, don't hire anybody new. And I was like, wow, where's HR been? That's kind of been my, guidance to you all, because that's what's going to really hurt.
Yeah, we were 6-8 months ahead of the schedule on that. So we knew last year. Okay. So we haven't budgeted interest income, right? It just comes in later on.
Well, we have
Miscellaneous income.
we have a level of interest income that we've always assumed within the sustainability. And when we put and thank you very much for you get the award for getting your budget binder out first.
Last year.
And you did a fabulous job, ladies.
Doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon.
So that's very helpful. So we do have, Kent, a level that we're in there. We did not budget the
Right.
2.9.
Well, it doesn't
that.
look like it's going away anytime soon, because they're not talking about lowering interest rates for any reason.
Okay, well, that's
And so-
your projection.
Right, so that, I just was saying, we didn't count on it being at the level it was at.
No.
So next year, that'll be a small surprise, if they don't lower interest rates, then next year will be a small surprise.
Right, so Kent, that's why we funded the $500,000 and did some things. We bought down the pension. Those are, anything we can do to offset future expenses is very helpful. And we may look at that some more. So.
And then writing on top of all that, we've got the level 6 reimbursement payment, whatever you want to call it.
Still going down.
Independently of all of this.
Yeah, the 36 went to 4250, right? 3650, 3750 went to 4250, 42. So the price went up. You know, you can stay at the Holiday Inn a little longer, you know. But by the way, that's not gonna, you know, they're going to take actual count. It's my understanding now. And so we're going back to several years ago when we were probably 1/4 of what we are. That's my guess. And
A comment on that, when they originally did this, that we took, the felony 6, was that they pushed that from the state down to us with an agreement, I thought, that we would be reimbursed somewhat, and that's going away.
for 3 years, they fixed it, and I think it actually ran 4 years. And now they've basically taken them back, correct? Brad, if you want to help me out, go ahead.
Well, we just don't have the number of level 6 inmates anymore.
Correct.
That's because they can go to prison.
There for a while, we had tons of them, and I think that had to be due to judicial, you know, state, whatever was going on.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Arresting
2014
everybody
into
that walked
15,
around
they,
with a
they
little
changed
bit
the
of
law
marijuana.
and said that your level 6s had to be remanded to the county agencies.
Right.
Didn't go to DOC. Last year's legislation changed that, or the year before, changed that to where now judges can send them back to DOC. And so when that occurred, we knew at some point in time this formula would go away because it's not a mandated thing anymore. And so this year is when it changed to where now it'll be direct billed like it was previous to the formula. And so we'll be getting billed per person now for that.
If we have some capacity in our jail to hold them, why would we send them to DOC now?
That's a judge's decision.
Yeah, it's a judge's decision.
That's not theirs.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to talk to
And
the
once
judges.
they're sentenced, well, once they're sentenced and the abstract is done, they have to go to DOC if they're sentenced to DOC.
Even if
That's,
they're here.
that's part of it. Now, if they get sentenced locally, then obviously we keep them.
Didn't they open their new facility, or a new facility, so they got room?
Yes, they got room, yeah. So it's been a big battle with DOC here in the last year, and we work together with the legislator with DOC. A lot of counties have struggled with DOC taking their inmates, and we were pretty fortunate. We didn't run into those situations. We were paid up to date. They came and got ours on a regular basis. And so we weren't we weren't waiting for money. We were getting paid. And we weren't holding their inmates when we weren't supposed to. And so it's all up to the judge and how they do and what the sentence, whether they stay here or go to DOC.
Now, Brad, while we've got you here, with other counties, I keep dealing with juvenile offenders.
Yeah.
And that increasing. And I don't hear that from you so much, but we still got about $400,000 budget line item. And what?
For probation, not mine.
Well, no, for juvenile, I thought juvenile was in there, care of kids was in there, and I thought it was around 300,000 subject to the new.
That's probably in probation's
Okay.
contractual stuff that they do to hold them somewhere else.
So
Or
are
commissioners.
we seeing more juveniles? What's your trend here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the juvenile crimes are increasing. I mean, and the volatility of what they're doing is increasing. So, we just can't hold them in an adult facility. So, I mean,
Which is our jail.
Which is our jail, yes. And so federal law says it's out of sight, out of sound, and they can't be in our jail.
Right.
And so if we have a juvenile that's been deemed judicially as an adult, then we hold them in a DOC facility, and then we pay them.
A DOC or Muncie or something equivalent to that, and it is my understanding some of those have closed.
Yes,
And it's getting more
very difficult.
difficult.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And so, I mean, that's a new, kind of thing you gotta be conscious of that could be coming back to a theater near you. And I was, Tippecanoe County and I have been working on trying to put together a juvenile detention center for 5 years, and I think because of SB1, it's going to go by
I'm sure.
the wayside again.
Yeah, the juvenile facility is just a different animal in itself, just because of the educational piece in it. I mean, you have to provide that education
Yeah.
with teachers and all that stuff. And so my understanding, Henry County was maybe supposed to open back up, but I don't know with this new change whether that's going to happen or not. So, anyway.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think-
wanted to make council well aware of that too.
Yes.
We touched on that recently at one of the county farm planning committees, because on the long list of brainstorm ideas for county farmland was a juvenile facility. You might remember a year or two ago, Josh Sipes said he was having trouble with placement. And I think that, the consensus at this point kind of was, if we were gonna get involved in juvenile detention, that we would need to create like a regional cohort and not just be the Hancock County juvenile, because there's not that many juveniles that we need a center all to ourselves, and don't want that when you add the capital plus the staffing expense. But if anybody wants to carry the ongoing exploration torch of regional juvenile detention, I don't think we ever ruled that out as something that could be here, but not really apt to fund it all alone.
And Keely, don't go out and hire an engineer or anything. I can give you per room cost, and I can get both capital and operating, because I've done it more than once.
Because they charge so much, we know when we had to place a few people that had very serious crimes long-term. I mean, what did we pay that year, Brad?
Yeah, if you get waived as an adult and go to Department of Corrections, it's about $135 a day.
Right. So, I mean, there could be enough money in that when there's enough of them to cover its costs, but I don't know that in our little committee, we thought that taking that all on our shoulders was something we were really in a hurry to do.
You got to remember that the county voted against the current jail we have
Right, for adults, yeah.
for adults. So the county didn't want the current jail we have. So, and we were in desperate need of everything, because we had 3 times as many people as what the other jail, and the county voted against it. So there's no way that they would vote for a juvenile facility that, in our county.
And the thing I think is interesting is each county that's having problems has a major university, because we have a juvenile income tax in Monroe County that I got for them. St. Joseph County, same way. Tippecanoe County, the same way. So for some reason, it seems like when we have a university, we have more. Just an observation.
But we need a
We don't have a university.
Usually it's because we border Marion County.
Yes.
That's our issue.
Okay. Where would you like to go next, Jim?
Okay, next is, we know that sometime in the future, we're going to need to probably boost the E911 income. And we also know that we're building up a big nest egg of money in the library fund. So Greg looked at those two things, and so do you want to go through those, Greg?
Yeah, so you have a document on specifically analyzing the lit for the library system. And to remind you, it's at 0.15 right now. It is what I believe to be a Title VI under the code, which I'm not playing attorney here, but means that this is going to, this is Title VII, so there is some possibility that the lit would stay specific, but right now it's 0.15, and as you can see, we've, on page 1, you see the historical of where we've been. Keep in mind that we did drop the rate, I'm on page 1, back in, I believe, was around 17, and so our balance then has grown, and you see the current balance as of 2024, and I'm sure, Mary, your balance may be even a little higher now in your fund report. So then we took it on page 2, as we said, what if that rate was 0.10, and we went and ahead and kept basically 25 receipts because this wouldn't be applicable until 26 receipts. And we used a .10 and a .01 and showed you the estimated balance. The concept will be what will, no one at State Board of Accounts or no one has even addressed what will happen in 2028 when we have remaining balances. Deb, I've not heard anybody, let's say we have a remaining balance in our edit fund. Well, edit's going away or seed it's going away. So what if you kept $1 million in there, what will you be able to do with it? My hope is that future legislation will say you can spend that on what the original tax was levied for. But right now, there's no guidance at all. It's not even been touched. So this is the projection for that. Now, Jim, if we were to do, I did not, you asked me today, and I got the 911. It's around 330,000 per basis point.
Okay.
Or E911, which remember that we collect 100%.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what it would mean roughly at this point.
So if we were looking to shore up E911, have you done a look at that and see how many basis points we would need?
No, sir, because I think the binder is the key. The 2026 estimate for the budget, using that and putting that in, I'll have that. But I have not done that yet.
But
I guess the simplistic look is the library fund is building up. You can't use it because they're limited, just like we are. So why let it build up? Why not maybe lower that tax and increase the E911 where we know we're going to need to? You could net out no increase.
no
maybe.
increase. And you're saying that if we drop it a half, it's 0.15, if we drop it to 0.1, that's $170,000. You said 330,000 per basis point?
Sorry,
No.
sir, that was a total different tax.
Oh, okay,
Don't confuse the two.
okay.
Has the Vernon Township Library System come up with any plans yet as to what they're going to do moving forward? I know this money is available to them. It can be spent by them, at least that's what I was told when Rhonda Cook was reviewing all that. The Greenfield or the county library system does not have the ability to access it, but the Vernon Township Library does. So before we jump to any conclusion where the money's going to go and how it's going to be moved or reduced, I think we need to give the whole picture a look.
I'm not aware. Go ahead.
By law, right now anyway, they can't use it.
That's not what Rhonda told me. Rhonda said they can. Vernon Township Library, but the county library system cannot, and I don't know why, but when she and I talked about it, that's what she.
I think she's wrong.
Well, and you're talking about future dollars, you're not talking about current dollars.
No, there's current dollars sitting there now, over
Well,
$1 million.
Right, but
Yeah.
he's talking about future dollars, not current
No,
dollars.
I think if they could get, or if anybody could get an excess levy, then you could use it. But unless you can get an excess levy, nobody can use it. And they
Just
were
going by what Rhonda's
refused,
told me. I
they
don't
were
know if you've talked
refused.
to Rhonda or not.
No, ma'am,
about it.
I have not.
I just know that she's been working some on trying to come up with some way to help them essentially see their goal, and where we act on it, I'd like to make sure that everybody's aware of exactly what the possibilities are.
I know they
Okay.
came a long time ago and suggested they might come ask for some of that money. And so it might be the time to hear from them again about what their intentions are. Because once we start talking about reducing that tax to increase 911 and offset and start calculating that,
Well,
I
and
would,
let
I
me,
would come before that conversation starts.
Keely, I will put a little urgency to it because subject to, again, you make me a subject matter expert, which I try and cover every item. But one of them is we have to give notice to the underlying taxing district, I think by July 1, if we're thinking about changing lit.
So we
Okay,
have to decide next week?
pardon me?
We would have to decide next week at the meeting.
For that notice to go out, subject to check, it's either July 1 or August 1, and maybe you know off the top of your head, Scott, but it's coming very quick, and that's just a notification.
Is it a notice of intent to entertain it, or do you have to have solidified?
No, entertain it because it's going to kind of put them on notice for their budgets.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, real quick, when you talk about, or when Jim says, cut the special purpose tax to increase the 911 tax and taxpayers not pay anymore, both of those would include every Hancock County income taxpayer, right? It is the exact same tax base, the exact same numbers, or is it?
In this concept, yes.
Right, there's
Only in
no
this
carve
one.
out for municipalities in either of those.
Correct.
They're the exact same tax base.
Right.
So in theory, if you took $100,000, whatever that rate is,
Mm-hmm.
from special purpose library and put it towards 911, it would dollar for dollar transition that income to that budget at the exact same rate of plus and minus, right?
Yes.
Okay.
David,
Just want to make sure,
do you
totally
know
clear on that before we talk about
Can
it.
you add
That's the
anything to this
assumption.
conversation
Here he
about,
comes.
yeah.
Yeah. Call you help lines.
Hi, Dave. I need a lifeline.
That's his life.
So I got Greg here, obviously, but I can't say I know the answers, but from our understanding, I mean, we can't get into that fund other than a budget order. And that's our understanding for Vernon Township as well. I don't know why it would be any different.
Now, I don't know either.
But
I just know.
I think when we talked with Rhonda, and Ashton and I have talked with Rhonda as well, I think the idea was maybe if there was money in there when it sunsets, like what would happen to it and if any of it could be used. And obviously we want to be part of the solution. So we're, want to work that out and see what's best for everyone. So I don't believe, we can't pull money from it, so I don't know how they could.
You could get to it with a excess levy appeal that was approved, but they were disapproved, and now the state is saying they're not going to give
You'll
any
never
excess
get one
levy.
Well, no,
So, I mean-
that was taken, that wasn't against Vernon. That was taken off of everybody. There's no automatic growth quotients anymore.
So,
That levy,
Yeah.
but you would have to
I
approve it.
think if you got an approved debt levy, you could have
That's
that.
what I always thought they were coming after years ago. They approached me out there to suggest that they could take on debt of which the debt payment would be paid from that for capital. Is that yes, a yes they can, or no they cannot?
Well, let's go to, that makes sense hypothetically. Okay, now you gotta go issue your bond with a tax that will exist until 1/1/28. After that, there's no tax.
Oh, right. Well, this conversation was before all
Right.
that legislation.
Right.
Yeah.
So this exact issue is why I'm having Representative Thompson come to Hendricks County's capital improvement plan meeting, because we're going to say,
But-
Representative Thompson, there might be an issue here.
But we have to deal with the way it is now. The way it is now is the way it is.
It's going away.
It's going away.
I would just like to see that they have an opportunity to capture whatever that they can and what would be available to help them progress on what they're trying to do. I know there's a lot of
This
feelings
wouldn't,
about this.
this wouldn't reduce the fund if you look at the numbers. It just reduces the increase that's coming in.
The accumulation of the
So
Well,
why
I still
just
would
keep
like them to be
accumulating
engaged in some of this conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe we need a subgroup. or
Well, I think Rhonda is trying to get together Greg, myself, a couple board members, and then Ashton, and then their financial person. And
I think so,
we're trying to
too.
get that done
Yeah.
late June, so
From what I
get that
heard
date
from
pinned
Rhonda.
down.
Should this be an agenda item? I mean, I guess somebody needs to first ascertain if July 1st is our deadline to issue notice.
Oh, yeah, I can find that out.
And if that's the case, this probably needs to be an agenda item again next week to decide if we are intending to notice.
Correct.
Yeah.
And regardless of the library thing, we're gonna hit a time with E911 when we're gonna need to do something. I'm not sure it's next year, but just looking at the numbers, probably next year or the year after for sure.
And
Probably
Jim,
next year.
As I said, if we take one lit right now, we raise it, and we say that's what needs to be for sustainability of that fund, keep in mind that will be your automatic deduct from your 1.2, likely from the get-go when we do in July of 27.
And so that's good or bad?
Cautionary note.
Will you by next meeting have a guesstimation on what that rate would need to be for?
For the budget committee next month, yes.
But not next week.
By next week, that would probably be, we might be able to look at E9.
I'd like to see it, I'd like to see it at the budget meeting.
I guess this whole
Yeah,
intent
next
to
month.
notice thing is what's throwing me off on timeline. How are we gonna notice by July 1st without deciding that next?
Well, I think you can give notice that, let me double check, and again, I don't want to play lawyer
Know what
here.
she's talking
So I'm the CPA,
Notice to
but,
what?
so the key
Tax rate
is,
change.
let's
If
see,
you're gonna
I
raise-
gotta
if you're gonna
remind
change
myself what
anything,
even in the notice, because
So
we
July
have
1st to
counties
give
that
notice.
send out the notice in
I think this is
January
a discussion that
and
we
say,
can't
we're gonna
rush.
do it sometime this year, just giving you a heads up.
But it doesn't mean you
And,
have to.
and also, I think with the library, I think we can only change the lit by 5 basis points. You can't do like 2 or 3, I think, from the past. But with the E911, we may not need 5 basis points,
Oh, I don't think we do.
maybe 2 or something. So there might be a net decrease in the.
Yeah, because we're working with current law versus future law, and you're probably right under current law.
If we give notice, that doesn't mean we have to do it.
No, you can, we can vote, we can have enough votes no to
Right,
at the end.
but if you don't give notice, you can't do it for another year.
You're done.
Then you
And it
can't
takes a
even
year
get on the
to
diagram.
implement it.
And then it takes a year to implement it
collect.
after you
So
give notice.
E911
So it'd be
is probably.
September 27,
6.
No, sir. So if you do anything between now and October, at a certain date of August or October, it's effective for
26,
withholdings this
okay.
year. If after, up to October 1, it goes into January 1's withholdings
Okay.
will affect 26.
right, but none of that is viable if we don't give notice
Correct.
by a certain date.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's counties that will send it out January. And
We
say,
can put this
we
on the
know
budget
we're
meeting.
changing.
Right.
Probably every year you're gonna have to do that now.
You're just gonna have to send it out, and then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll
Are you
try to get
good
some
with-
information before the council meeting.
Not
then.
not this month, next month.
No,
This month.
has to be, has to be this
No.
month
For the
for
notification,
the notification.
For notification, we would have
we
to.
probably should have done that January 1st.
Yeah, we should just.
It should just be a blanket
To
done.
it.
Yeah.
We can say we intend to do it.
Anything else on the
I just do not want to
lit
take it.
discussion?
I don't think so at this time, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the landing. Linda?
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Tammy White. I'm with Pride Investment Partners and Leo's Market and Eatery here in Greenfield. I believe you all are familiar with our Executive Director, Linda Ostewig. We are back again this month because we have received our change of use for the building on 225 Gaslight Lane for the landing place at Hancock County.
Just keep passing down the package.
We're back to revisit the request for the $200,000 for the opioid money. As you all know, we are being displaced from our current building here in downtown, and we have been given a wonderful opportunity to purchase the building on Gaslight Lane to relocate our facility and keep our doors open for our students and participants to continue our programs here in Hancock County. So Linda has presented a little bit more material with some information for your review. And we would like to open up the discussion again, answer any other questions that you might have for us to possibly be a candidate for this funding.
Tammy, I know you guys have already, been working with the city planning department. They provided feedback. You've
Correct.
already gone to, was it the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes,
You got approval at the BZA, right?
We did.
You provided written plans.
Yes.
You made written commitments. So I don't know if everybody knows that, but I've
Okay.
caught all that.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that, and also what other funding sources have already been solicited towards the project and that kind of thing?
Of course, and I'll let Linda chime in as well, but of course, we had to go before the city to get the zoning, the change of use changed. And they were wonderful to work with, and we presented, and we did get that done.
It's okay.
All of our drawings are in your packet, so we've been working with an architect on that, of what the building is going to look like, what that's going to provide to the community. And Linda, do you want to?
Yeah, so after we were approved at the BZA, then we were able to know for sure that we have the building. Well, we had the building, but that it was now able to be the landing. So, like we said last time when I came in, we have a contractor that came on board that is offering his consulting and contracting time for free, but his workers aren't for free. So they've already started the remodel inside because we had an anonymous donor outside of Fort Wayne, Indiana, that gave us money to start that process. The Hancock Community Foundation also gave us money to pay the architect and the survey people and the fence that the city has asked us to put in. So we'll have a privacy fence behind the property. And so the Community Foundation gave us a grant to be able to do that as well. And so they have started the process of working. I don't know. We thought that we were going to have to be out by September. I spoke to the mayor after zoning, and he said, who told you that? We had a June 1st deadline, and I was like, there's no way we can by May 20th. And they graciously gave us August, maybe 2 weeks after August. So the contractor is really, lives in Carmel. He doesn't even live in our county. He is from, he's worked at New Powell High School for many years. Miles Herkamp knows him. He sits on the board. He's our treasurer. And so his wife, they just have a passion for what we do. And they don't live here, although they see the work vital, so they've come along. I don't know how we would have got in if it had not been.
Well, Linda, do you now own the building?
We don't own it yet. Because we're going to put together a purchase agreement with Doug. And he's like, just let me know what you get. If you get any funding to put down on the building, or I call it hold the note. But he's going to keep the mortgage. We would just pay him monthly for the building until we came.
Seller finance.
Yes, seller finance. There you go. And so we haven't done that purchase agreement yet. And he was here both times I came and spoke the last 2 times. So, and he can come again. But do own it. It's just not in our name yet.
It's under
Okay.
contract.
It's under contract.
Okay,
We're-
so,
And if we don't get any funds, then we will have to pay a monthly fee, like a mortgage
It was in May
to
20th.
him.
so
You were at the city
owe-
May 20th? Did you get any money from them?
We went to the city for the
The city took them away by building a parking garage.
Well, I know, but
The city has an application process open until June 29th for nonprofits to request funds.
oh, okay.
So I think they would have to just submit through that process
Okay.
by June 29th.
Yeah, we are in the process of looking at what that looks like, and I told the mayor and the city attorney that you guys asked me, have you asked the city for money? So I said the county is asking me to ask, for that. But they
They're the
didn't-
ones that kicked them out.
But the majority
But
of
they
people were in the
didn't
city.
reply back, hey, we have money for you, but,
So looking at your expenses here, you owe to get this all done, 222,000, and you do
Correct.
not have that money. Is that right? Okay, that's the bottom line.
That is the bottom line. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I know that several of us were in support and some were not yet as of the last time we talked about this. So does anyone who had apprehensions have remaining unanswered questions?
I think it's just, I'd rather see it come also from the opioid money more than food and beverage. I have concerns about food and beverage, how it's been declining.
Yeah.
I don't mind giving a little bit from food and beverage, maybe like 25,000 or something low, but I would rather see it come more from the opioid money personally. That's just my viewpoint.
Well, and something I don't want to get off on now, but that we're going to talk about opioid money. And just as of the last 48 hours, there is a state match you can apply for, a dollar for dollar match on opioid money up to 500,000. Not for this, it has to be for recovery residences. But we'll get into that when we get to that agenda item. But there may be an opportunity for us to say, we'll put up 500,000 if the state will put up 500,000 to do even more than we were hoping for.
Well, we have this is a current program, vetted, current,
Right.
doing a good job, established, and I don't know why we wouldn't, whether it's opioid money or anything else, help fund that and keep that alive rather than kill it, and then take the other money and try to start new programs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because some of these programs overlap. They were built out of the system that the opioid money came from. They were built out of that need. That's their basis of what they're helping people and stuff like that. So I think our priority is first to keep the existing programs alive rather than, and then if we have money left over, then we worry about additional programs. But you know what I'm saying? I kind of put this in the same with Talitha Kum is an existing program. It's functioning. It's been proven. It's vetted. It's working. And then same thing with this. So I don't know why we wouldn't, if you had money, you would say, okay, we're going to do something with a new program, why you wouldn't fund this first before you reach out and try an untested new program.
How much would you do?
Well, I think we should do at least half. And I think Greenfield, through their process, should do at least half.
Are you saying through the opioid money or for through?
Well, I don't care. I mean, I don't know what all we want to do with the opioid money. I don't care if it's food and beverage because I've never voted for something on food and beverage I wasn't proud of. And I would be proud of this because that money, we get it a different way. It's a different type of money and it should be used for the community. And so I would be proud to do it with food and beverage. I don't share his concerns that the food and beverage balance is dropping so much. We're going to reimburse it for anything we've spent here in just a little while anyway. And I think it's going to keep increasing. And
Yeah, if that GO bond reimburses like the resolution intended on the fairground expenditures, food and beverage is gonna have more money in it than
I
we
know.
normally ever keep in it when
I
that
know.
money comes back.
Well, I refer to Deb a little bit. I've talked to her briefly because we've been talking about this balance in the opioid money that with that process, we will have to open that up to applications and vetting and decide on recipient, whereas the food and beverage, we could just act.
I'm audited on the total process when we're giving this money out for any of the additional ARPA or the opioid money. I get audited on what our process is and how did we vet and did they submit the application? Did we check on SAMS.gov to make sure you're not disbarred? So, I mean, we do have that process in place because of all of the ARPA money that we had, and obviously that was a much larger amount that we share with many other people. But so I would just encourage you, whatever you decide, that we make sure that we say, hey, please follow, you know, any of the guidelines, federal or state, that Deborah has to follow in distributing them.
Now, on the unrestricted opioid money, is that, it's unrestricted, so is identical, the application of that, or?
Yes, just for continuity and for the audit that I have to undergo, we do that, both the opioid, restricted, unrestricted, ARPA, any sub-grants that we're giving out, we have everyone follow that same process.
Well, yeah, I feel like Kent, I don't care if it's food and beverage, I wouldn't care if it's unrestricted opioid money.
Whatever's cleanest for,
Food and beverage, they're not auditing me on that. It's
Yeah.
the sub-grant, the sub-recipients and the grants that they hit me pretty heavy. Greg can.
Actually, though, that changed, Deborah, with the new law. They are actively going to review everybody's food and beverage expenses.
Okay.
And whether it's going to comply with the current law and the current statutes you're under. Keep in mind, everybody's got different statutes and different, so they are going to hit you this year.
Okay.
well, you'd be also aware, if once they start digging into that, then they're gonna be against us holding balances in it too.
But we're not holding balances, but
well,
Deborah,
and beverage,
the world changed on food and beverage.
Okay, well, then every process will be the same when we're giving any kind of sub-recipient
Well,
any money.
to Ken's point, to be fair, even though we say food and beverage is currently low relative to historical, it's still 5 times more than what we say our target balance for food and beverage is on our target balance sheet. So.
Yeah, but you never know what's gonna come up, but I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys, what if we did like 25, 50,000, whatever amount now, and then and it got up to your 110,000, like 6 months from now or a year from now, is that an issue? Like if we looked at what food and beverages and then you get the money back from the GEO bond and then we do another distribution?
I mean, I think it's muddy in the water
There's
for.
plenty of money, yeah.
No, yeah.
And it sounds like there's some controversy on the opioid thing, so why not just do it from food and beverage and?
Well, Greg just
Done
said,
with
though,
it.
it's gonna be under the same scrutiny now, as far as auditing
The
that.
food and
opioid is.
beverage tax that we have is a special food and beverage tax.
Right. No, I think.
It's not a regular food
He's
and
not
beverage
suggesting it's not an
tax.
allowable expenditure.
Correct.
No, I
Correct.
just
What I'm
think
saying
we need
is
to do it
Deborah's got to
correctly.
have the same level of scrutiny on
Yeah.
all funds.
Yeah, we
and
just have to.
They're going to scrutinize it heavily.
And
We
I
just need
think
to
there's
follow
lots
the
of
process.
documentation about what exactly, that money.
I could chime in because Keely asked me to do this. I do believe the residential application is appropriate under the have for the opioid funds, because I looked at Exhibit E of our settlement agreement. It does say recovery support such as residential and inpatient treatment. That language, that operative language, I think would allow you to use those funds.
Well, that would be on the other 2 projects. This will not be residential, but,
Okay.
or inpatient, but the other 2 projects, it's very applicable.
Let's make that clear too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm like
Well, I
Kent, I'm sorry,
You agree with
Jim,
that?
I'm like Kent, I think that, with the landing, they're really down the road on this, and, it's a project that's present, basically.
Right.
And then maybe address, and I understand Deborah, things she has to do.
I do want to add, the landing is very, very compliant and works very closely with our office for anything that they've ever received. So there is not an issue there at all. I just want you to be aware that it might be good to continue that application process. If you're going to go ahead and offer that, I can send them that application today. So
On the
they do a
opioid,
great
you
job
mean?
with that.
No, I think she's
yeah,
talking.
Mary made a good point a second ago to me that we have a specific process we're following with the opioid money. We've asked for people to apply and stuff like that. This kind of breaks that out of that, I think, a little bit, because we haven't decided what the opioid money is. So I don't think it's fair to everybody else right now with the opioid money. I think we ought to stick to food and beverage.
I agree.
Well, I would move, we appropriate $111,290 to the landing
From food and beverage?
from food and beverage.
I'll second that.
Oh,
You got it. You're the president of the budget. Got to call for the vote.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now
appreciate your
you can go to
time.
Greenfield and
Now,
say,
go to Greenfield.
Tell them we
Yes.
asked one more time how they plan to chip in.
Yeah, because they're the ones causing the issue right now.
Okay.
We understand they want a parking garage, but still, you know
We
what I
can do
mean?
that.
And we would love for you to come to the ribbon cutting.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, let us know about the
We will.
ribbon
We
cutting.
will.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Sheriff Burkhart?
It's still the right thing to do.
I don't disagree. I just,
I
Where
think
do
the
you put the
city
money?
should have stepped up first.
oh, yeah.
They're the ones that's causing it.
I agree. That's why I was
I know, that's not a way to run. All right.
throwing them out when you think they're a good.
Without,
Yeah.
Good morning.
figured this out. Yes. Should already figured that out.
So
Can we get a,
Hold on. You have an issue?
I was gonna say, can we get a thumbs up to appropriate, but you paid it out of food and beverage, not opioid, never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
all right. So speaking of opioid money, you should have something in your packet there, I believe. It's some training that I'm looking at doing through Indiana Wesleyan University. It's called Operational Readiness for Police Officers, Effective Strategies and Practical Techniques for Addressing Opioid Use Disorder and Co-occurring Conditions. My plan would be is to mandate my jail staff and road deputies to go through this course. It's a 4-hour course. It's your self-paced course. You can do it on your own. You got a year to do it. Shouldn't be that complicated. You come out with a certificate from Wesleyan University after completion. But it can be, the opioid money can be used for this training because it is for that. And so my request would be, and I've already went to commissioners back on May 6th, I believe, and they did a thumbs up approval or gave me their approval to move forward. But with the amount of deputies I have, it would be about $52,000 to get everybody through it. So.
Did you file appropriate application that we've been talking about for this?
In the last 5 minutes.
A nonprofit.
Not a nonprofit. Yeah, you're a negative.
We can appropriate that money right into one of his funds there.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm looking,
how much is it?
52,000.
52,000.
Yeah, that would get everybody through the course. There again, it's, it is a useful project for this money, but I guess that's why I'm asking for that, because it is useful.
Brad, this might be a stupid question, but I have some counties, every time you get a certification, you get a bump in your salary.
No,
Okay,
no,
thank you.
everybody.
Just-
It's just training.
Thank you.
I appreciated the information about all the opioid information about what we can use. And that was helpful. Thank you.
Okay. We'll throw it in the hopper.
Throw it in the hat?
Throw it in the hopper.
So it's in the hat, okay.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm going to hold off for now, right?
yes.
Okay.
Well, we're about to talk more about opioid money, because there's a new thing that might mean more opioid money.
This is not that. This is different.
Well, I'm just saying, when we talk about, well, we only have so many dollars to distribute, there's now the opportunity that maybe there's much more than that.
We haven't decided anything on opioid money yet.
Oh, I understand that,
And
yeah.
that's,
Well, the sheriff's opioid was just a bit different because his
Yes.
would be able to be used out of restricted
Restricted.
instead of unrestricted.
Yeah.
Okay.
It met the criteria for.
Yeah.
Want to put him on your council? Or is-
Oh,
Well,
I think we need to have a discussion. I just wanted, I knew that this was some
Yeah, we wanted to
request.
get it
from-
out with the
I wanted
list
to
of
get
the
it
other
out
stuff.
before we had the general discussion, so.
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, I put it on next week's agenda, yeah.
We will fold that
All right.
request in.
Okay. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, it's on the list.
Anybody need a break and a break? Let's take a 10-minute break.
Where are we at on our agenda?
we are at 10:15.
All of the above.
We're 9 minutes ago.
The
We're
match.
at 10:15 now, because we're about to discuss the restricted.
Okay.
But that means there's a
Hey,
lot
you
of
know
extra
what?
money.
And then remember, the YouTube keeps going while you're on break.
I know, but I don't have a
Unless they
flavor.
And you don't know you're getting. You're applying.
You know what I mean? I don't have,
Well,
I'm not
I'd like
gonna die on a
to
hill.
do as much as we can.
Right, I'm not gonna die on any hill. Okay.
Now, tell me again when you're going to be gone. When is your surgery?
July 21st.
July 21st, okay.
I gotta have it.
Getting a new hip?
Getting a new hip. I've got new knees and now it's caused one of my hips. And there's no thick bone. I'm old. I played too many sports.
That's all right. My
You know what I
husband
mean?
just had steroid injections in his lower back, hoping to get through the summer, and so he can have
And
surgery in the fall.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you make so much sense.
10 minutes.
Don't encourage
And so do
him.
you.
Don't encourage
Hey,
him.
Ron, I really don't have a. Help as many people as we can.
Yeah.
It's good. About who gets.
I
What's
think,
restricted, what's not restricted. You know, give us money for opioid and then just leave us.
well, they don't
You know
do
what I
that.
mean? Yeah.
They
That's
don't
the
do
same
that.
when they start coming in with this food. They're gonna say, oh, well, you got too much money in that account.
Department of Mental Health.
That's exactly what
I
they're
don't
gonna
know
do
if they're
to
really
us.
going to care about that.
I know, I understand, I don't care. We're still in a meeting. But it's the same way with the TIF. They're gonna come in and say, oh, can't have that.
I think okay.
You know what I mean?
Everybody's beating the heck out of me.
It's
You
just
want answers, and I'm
too
like,
heavy a hand.
you know. So that's why I went and had lunch with
And it
the
gets
answer.
heavier as time goes
It
by.
gets heavier as time goes on. We don't have any fat. We're not sitting here with a bunch of fat stuff. You know what I'm saying?
You know.
We're struggling to keep the programs that are actually working.
Yeah, I agree.
So the income
But
tax
we'll see how everybody else feels.
and is our insurance person.
Oh.
When she gets, yeah, her office is right over there.
Yeah. Well, and I'll ask Debbie. I'm wondering, you know, we were supposed to get so much every year. Our
Yeah, I
committee,
didn't know. Usually we like to get an update. So, hoping everything's going okay.
Yeah, she was here yesterday.
Well, thank you.
My daughter, and son-in-law,
You know, I'm not
and
sure.
their 2 babies are here.
They're beating the heck out of you.
Oh, yeah, they came up. We met them down at the bourbon places.
Come over and talk about it. Say mine on.
I'm very proud of my son-in-law.
That's awesome.
Layers not actual, some of it should be for capital.
Good. Then I won't be so full.
That was your capital.
Most of the time.
Yeah. That's exactly why I need your money. If it would go through.
Well, if they're willing to give us a 500 match.
Right.
Ready to meet you, John, yesterday, you asked for money? I'm gonna yell at you. I'm just teasing, George. Hey, where's your account? Labor account.
But
Paperwork, I was talking to Greg about that. Yeah, it's showing zero.
Yeah, it's
That's
not.
for the end of the month.
Yeah, so, and then we get separate from.
Yeah, well, you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's still young.
Normally you got funds, you know, and then I looked at it and I went, what's going on here? $1 million.
Yeah, you have to ask Greg about that one. I don't know what he may have been calculating or projecting out. So.
No.
Yeah, we're good though. All I know on our end, we're good. So.
Report to the top.
Yeah, that's what I'll talk to Greg about. He'll work with it as well.
No, I talking about Mary's email. Is it different?
It's gonna increase our run. Easy.
Stupid doctor's appointment. Wasteful thing I ever done in my life. I've had 3 liver scans since February.
Find it?
Well, they found the liver. I got a fatty liver. I've had a fatty liver for quite some time. I mean, there's nothing you can do with it. But, here they took three scans, you know, like I said, over the last 5 months.
Yeah.
And there's yesterday,
I got from Mary.
and to me and my wife.
$5,000.
No, honey, it's not.
$100.
Well, here it says, I don't think most people know.
Oh, no, that's the.
By Charles Center.
VA.
That's right.
And so we've talked to the doctor. Tells me, like, you know, you got fatty liver, but I don't have cirrhosis.
That's for the July hearings, when we do it.
Cancer or any of that.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel
All
good. And then she tells me, well,
Huh?
I said, I'm accessing. You bought this week, didn't I?
Oh, there's no
this
way.
fatty liver,
That's cute.
turn this back over to your primary
Like, hey,
care
I'm
now.
gonna be there that week.
You're coming in 4 in the morning and getting.
You realize you scared the hell out of us the last 5 months, got
And
thinking,
they're like,
thinking they're finding
you're
something
leaving, you're
wrong.
gonna go golf.
I've been here for 12 hours.
I've been here for 12 hours already. I can't help you. You guys just got.
Well,
Thank you very much.
good luck Friday.
Thank you.
Well, I know where they're getting them, they're getting out of the bottom 10% of the class.
Make sure Jay knows I gave that to you, because I told him.
It's the same thing in the military,
I know.
most of the time
Yeah, I'll let
we
you.
had a problem with the doctor up there at Grissom when our son was born,
I knew what's gonna happen.
had seizures. And he supposedly gave us a prescription, but he never gave us the prescription. He wrote the prescription in the records,
Never gave it to you.
but never wrote us a script for it. And so he has another seizure. And we had to take him down here to Riley Hospital.
The day of our wedding.
I had to leave the room and go get some records. And then when I come back, he's in there screaming at my wife. But we ain't giving him his medicine. And I said, excuse me, sir, what the hell is that?
But I still have him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pissed me off.
I got used to getting my first.
Reason why the hospital commander and what he was yelling at.
I get so mad because I'm used to.
Right there's your prescription.
We do all the time. I get in here, it's like.
You didn't give us a prescription. And so. the hospital
I was like,
commander said, I'll take care of
figured out it doesn't move very quickly.
Don't make me come back.
That's why I do like these budget meetings, because at least if you have something, they can hear it at the same time. Yeah, that way I'm not having to bounce back and forth. That
See, and I was talking to him. His wife was in the hospital.
I'll see you next week then.
Okay.
Again.
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 Diagnosed. The person that's diagnosed with stroke is. And I guess the doctor, and he goes, who? And I go, Dr. Spears. Because who? Go to the right place, and the doctor did, and himself into the psych ward. Booted out the servers.
What are they flying?
Huh?
What are they flying out of Cruise?
The KC-135. Our models.
They fly anything else?
I don't think they got anything else up there. I haven't heard. Let's see,
It's been a while. It's been a while
they
since
tore
I've been.
down a bunch of stuff. They tore down all the, like, the old control tower and,
Yeah.
what was, flight line snack bar area and all that kind of stuff. All that's all tore out.
Hey, Greg.
The actual
Sure.
flight line that I used to work on.
For you, yes.
When I was up there last, it's.
How you doing?
They took out all the pits, no lateral fueling pits out there. That's all done with trucks. Where the fuel farm used to sit is where the reserve.
Right.
And I've lost our way with appeal.
So here's what I'm suggesting. We would start
They
that
did
process.
keep the last barrel.
Like I said,
When I say that, I can guarantee you there's gonna be.
Don't get any bigger.
I mean,
Too slow.
I'm not.
I wasn't.
Because as of right now,
Most impatient
I
person.
can't replace the people.
So, you know,
Well, I got
my
a-
baseline assumption would be is that would at least get what you have.
I got a big building. I'm supposed to be building behind the jail.
Projected growth, that's another story.
Before I'm done, and so.
But you at least get, no matter what, with any
It's been a while since.
corrections coming or whatever, you maintain what you've got.
But isn't that gonna be the case?
Oh, it's gonna come down, yes. Every council in every county is the supreme commander of lit. Oh, heck
Yeah,
yes.
you're gonna have to run the
So how
sweeper
is the
right
fire
across
chiefs
that
association for the county, do we, that happens,
Just
correct?
suck up a cup.
And at a time of manner.
Yeah.
Like I need to know.
Area back in the 70s come in and-
Oh, sure, I know the territories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to take it.
So again, though,
So he had.
so doing it
I
this
really want to be done.
too much sense.
So
First of next year.
Fire chiefs association start these talks.
Yeah, and we,
What's PIO?
Six.
Oh, okay.
you know, or
Yeah.
You buy that on contract, do you? It's not an employee, it's a. Oh, okay, he's a current employee.
Yeah, he works for 911.
Oh, okay, and add a stipend.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's been
okay.
there forever.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, isn't that awesome?
That would make more sense. Okay.
I think it's what you just said, and that he can create a line item for whatever, and they're good to go.
I think we could really,
Well, you just did on YouTube, so you're.
Yeah, but I mean, that,
all the things that were going on to get that.
As big as our county has become,
incorporated in
it's,
somebody's current.
there's a lot of things that we're probably, it's just time to get.
Oh, yeah, and we don't have to
I'm sorry,
worry
I was
about
delayed for
benefits.
responding. I
We
didn't
already
have
have them.
service.
So have you heard
Maybe.
anything through the planning
That
commission
message.
of anything new coming down the pike that we don't know about
What do you want to know?
for the
No.
PUD? Who next is gonna
Hey,
teach
Greg,
us about
I want to
the
thank you.
project?
You're really
Any other
doing a great
projects?
job.
I heard
It is great to
he
have
said there was
somebody that
15
reports
requests in 1 month.
everything the right way it should be. You know, facts.
Randy.
Yeah, because we've had reporters that didn't
Most
report
of you
facts.
are about
Well,
a
we
month.
feel like
Who was the, in my opinion, I'd like to see him get out there more and go find the big,
You do, I just wanted to tell you.
Something
that
that
we want, not
Right.
people coming to us saying, oh,
Right.
are you guys gonna sacrifice your land?
something's gonna
Get
be
going
there.
again, let's,
Yeah,
I think
without,
Tuttle's know that.
Yes.
we're back in session.
Can we,
hey, what are we gonna talk about?
Well,
no new thing.
Opioid.
that we
Okay,
have
let's
to-
talk about.
They still got their
let's talk
signs.
about-
Okay.
Okay. Can they?
Hello?
Yeah.
Who we missing?
Just the commissioners.
Okay.
and-
Deb said start without her, so, oh, no, she's back.
Deb's back. She's ready.
Okay.
Back in session.
So I wanted to, I sent this to Jim, Deb saw it and sent it to me also. All of a sudden, a couple days ago, this email started going around because the Family Social Services Administration sent out an email that the Division of Mental Health and Addiction, which is managing the state's portion of opioid funds, is opening a process by which local units of government who received opioid funds, meaning us, can submit a letter of intent to the state, to DMHA, to request some of their funds, to match their funds for certain purposes. And one of those, there was only 3 purposes, but the largest of them is recovery residences, and the max request amount is $500,000. And of course, we would have to say, we have $500,000 we're gonna put up if you give us, $500,000 for the dollar for dollar match. The criteria so far is pretty vague. They have not provided extensive information about how they will score applications or what will be on the full application. Right now, it's just a letter of intent process, and then they'll open an application process. But the state has posed that any unit of government that received opioid funds or any entity that we grant opioid funds. So we could either ask for the money ourselves, or you can give the money to someone and that makes them eligible to ask themselves to the state for the match. Dollar for dollar match on recovery residences. It has to be used for capital expense. And it says the capital expense for Recovery Residence Initiative is for building, renovating, or purchasing homes to expand bed capacity for recovery residences in Indiana. Respondents may request up to $500,000 from DMHA for capital expense for recovery residents. And so today, we already kind of intended to talk about what's our process going to look like, what's our timeline, what kind of paperwork, does Deb want and that kind of thing. But that was the pre-existing discussion. Now there's this new caveat that if we submit by June 30th a letter on county letterhead to the state, we can suggest that, we intend to apply for $500,000. And we intend to put up 500, to get that. But it would need to be for recovery residents.
Is recovery and transitional synonymous? Are they the same?
No, so recovery residences, Talitha Kuhn brought up that they're a level 3. There's 4 levels of DMHA certified recovery residences. Level 1 is unstaffed, unmanned. You're providing a building, but you don't pay people to work it or anything like that. Level 4 is clinicians. We're talking medical grade mental health. So Talitha Kuhn has been a level 3 because they do stay fully staffed. They just don't have medical credentials on staff. I know the church has said they will become certified as a level 1 DMHA facility. And this is not clear, but I think since DMHA is giving out the funds and DMHA maintains the certifications, they probably would only consider projects that intend to be DMHA certified, at least at the level 1. But both of those projects we discussed, from what we know so far, would qualify. They haven't said how much they're giving away. They haven't said when the full application will open. They haven't said how they'll score applications. All they've said is if you want to intend to apply, submit a letter on letterhead by June 30th that is signed by the agency head, has contact information, includes email, and identifies what you plan to apply for.
So is this matching fund only for funds that we would have allowed to go towards a residential recovery
There was.
Or is it all potential applications that could come through?
No, so there's only 3 things that you can request matching funds for, and the limits on the other 2 are only for $150,000. And the way it's worded, I think you do have to pick one of the 3. You can't say, I want a little bit
What
of
are
each
the
of
other
these.
two?
The other one is substance abuse and misuse prevention initiatives, up to $150,000. So it just says use, misuse prevention initiatives. Prevention programming. The other one is also limited to 150,000, and that is for a transportation round trip service to support individuals in recovery to attend appointments relating to recovery. So it's very specific. And then there's the 500,000 for recovery residences.
Well, we have we've been presented with 2 proposals
For recovery
that I know of. One is Talitha Coombe. Now, it says transitional housing, not recovery. And the other one is the Church of God.
Yeah.
Affordable housing for transitioning.
Well, but if they're certified under the recovery, then they're certified for the additional funds. Right. And so I don't see a negative in us applying for the money and
Yeah.
maxing out the money. I mean, and you don't have to, even if you get the matching funds, you don't have to take
You're just
it.
saying you intend to apply.
Apply.
Kind of like Greg was saying, you have to
If we
say,
got
I
a deadline-
intend.
Right.
And then if you can't work it out or don't end
Right.
up applying, all you did
Right.
was say you intend to. But if you don't put it on paper to the state by June 30th that you intend to ask for the money, you cannot apply when the application opens.
Right, and then that is not even all of our money.
Well, and that's
So
what,
there's still additional funds after that. If we're maxed at 500,000, there's still additional funds after
Deb,
that.
what, do you? off the
I was
top of
just,
your
I was
head,
just wanting to, and does it have to be a max of 500? Could it be 250? I mean, just for
no, it's a max of 500.
no minimum. You could ask for.
Right, but why wouldn't you ask for as much as you
Yeah.
can
I
get?
was just
But
curious about
but there's still money left if we have other projects.
Can you tell us how much money is in each of those funds right now? I know it's on that sheet, but I can't see.
It's about 800, it's just over 800,000.
Together, all together?
It's 627 and 180.
Total
Right.
808. My
And-
other question is, can we use can we use opioid money for a portion of the Galahue mental health payments that we have to make state mandated?
I think so.
That's a heck of a gray area, I don't.
Okay.
And remember,
Can of worms.
Good
that's
idea.
automatically put in your max levy and automatically will go up 4% and automatically gets paid out.
Okay. Okay.
But if we did apply, we have the 808, 808,000. If we applied with 500 that we said we would match in recovery residences, that still leaves you 308
Right.
to do other things. That have to qualify, like, like the,
For example,
The
50,000 for
sheriffs
that, yeah.
yeah.
I guess maybe the bigger question is, do we intend to do one or both or something else with the opioid money? That's what do we think about the Talitha Coombe proposal, the Church of God proposal?
I mean, I think those are
Tammy
the only
made a
proposals that we
proposal.
got proposed.
Well,
No,
that
no,
was,
there's others. There was the
Yeah.
sheriff that just proposed.
Well, 50,000.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think there could be some out there that don't know that this is a possibility.
well, and that was,
agree.
before this came up, this email in the last couple of days, I thought today we would discuss what is our process gonna be to accept additional proposals.
Right.
And I think that in our letter of intent, we could say, I'm making this up, we can firm this up, but, we have heard proposals and will continue, accepting recovery residence proposals from community entities through
I say, do they have,
August 15th, or pick a day, I'm just
Right.
making that up. And so we can put in our letter of intent that we have started entertaining recovery residence proposals. We will continue soliciting community proposals through X date, at which point people will fill out Deb's paperwork for an application, and there will be discussion and decision.
I
Is there
think,
a
I
date?
agree. I mean, I think we need to put the letter of intent out there.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason for us to not to do that. But then we have the separate part of, we still have the opioid money, that there are so many things in this county, so many places that I'm sure could use that money for their programs we probably don't even know about. So I think the two things we're talking about are separate. Should we put in a letter of intent? 100%. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a given, if that's the question on the table.
And then how much, I guess the next question is, how much time do we think, if we're gonna solidify, okay, you said you have an application already, right, that people can fill out. Does it go into the depth of, what are you gonna do with this money, provide the budget for this money? What does it say?
So the application, and I don't have it in front of me, but they do fill out the application, and their agreement letter basically dictates what they're gonna do with it. But in the application, they do talk about their project and what they wanna do. I don't have those in front of me, but I can send you a copy of both of them.
And so I guess, yeah, we need to decide here, how in the weeds do we want to get on the, what we ask of people to submit with their proposal? Is it hypothetical? Do we want a line by line dollar, to the penny budget? What are the expectations in this proposal process? And then two, how much time do we want to say we're allowing to submit a proposal? What is our cutoff date for that? And then I think we'll probably want to entertain those in a meeting and then invite back projects, right, or does anyone see that going differently?
Well, do we have a timeline from the state, just approximately when they would give the grant away?
Here's what I will warn you from, if you guys remember, I volunteered to ask for an opioid match a couple years ago and got the sheriff and the schools and mental health entities. There was like 5 different nonprofits, mental health partners, the hospital. We all got around the table and said, what are our biggest needs? And we asked the state to match our ARPA and opioid. We got declined. But in that process, and one other process that's occurred since then where they granted opioid money, is when they say the application is open, it happens really, really fast. Like, they will say, I wouldn't be surprised at all, put it this way, if we submit these by June 30th and on July 10th they say, all right, well, fill out this giant, huge application by August 10th and have it submitted. That's your hard date. Like, it happened. The state does not give you much time at all to put something together.
Well, we have, if that happened, we have proposals that we could use.
We do, but
what do you do if you go out with this letter and you get 100 responses? You're gonna bring 100 people in here and
No, you do
talk
like
to
you
them.
did with ARPA, and you just
narrow it down.
narrow that down to the choices that are there. It goes through some kind of committee, subcommittee that you create. Your top 5 or top 7, certain.
Because we don't know on that application, when it does come out after the letter of intent, it could say, real high level, hypothetically, what are you gonna do with this? Or it might say, what is the address and location where this, and you don't know until they put it out, and it happens really fast. But before this came up, my thought was, maybe a 60-day a window to submit proposals, and then we would talk about them, and we'd take as long as we want to entertain them. With this on the table and not knowing when the applications will come in, do we want to make it a 45-day proposal window? Do we want to make it a?
Probably no
Do you need
more.
to advertise that we're taking these?
Well, it would be good that we put something out at least on the website. I mean,
Okay.
how will people know about it? But
So Grayson, don't leave yet because you're going to need to print this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, yeah, having Grayson
We'll
write
call
about
ya
it
if
is
we
probably our best bet.
But, yeah, I think that, I know that when we're getting audited, this is the perspective that I can speak from, is that they do ask, was there a committee involved that helped select these subrecipients. I mean, and I think that worked really well, and we complied with that for the ARPA money that we've given out. And we, even when you did the big grant and people applied for that, we did that in a public meeting. You had people come and we had that read out. So whatever you do, special meeting, I would recommend, and Greg can probably talk to this as well. I think a committee would be very helpful to help back that up on the audit.
Yeah.
So 3 council members and maybe a commissioner on the committee, or
I
you have
think
other?
that the commissioner, and Scott can weigh in, he would have to sign your grant, I think, be submitted by the head of
The letterhead to say your intention to apply is signed by the head of the county agency. So I would assume Bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
executive.
Yeah.
I think he has an open mind.
And it needs to be on county letterhead and just say you intend to apply for 500,000 for towards the recovery residence option.
I think, yeah, I think if that's what you guys want to do and you decide to move forward, I would select your committee.
I actually think we need to send, if it needs to be 3 separate letters, I think we need to send 3 separate letters for the 5,000 for the residents, 150 for the substance prevention, 150 for the transportation services.
Well,
Or do they have to be all on one letter?
the verbiage in this email, which like I said is not robust, it says, let me give it to you verbatim so I'm not paraphrasing. It says, all letters of intent must be on letterhead, signed by the agency head, list contact information for the primary contact, include email, and identify which of the 3 initiatives you plan to apply for. So I'm no attorney, but I would think it means you need to pick one, is what I thought. But
Okay.
Pick the biggest
Okay.
one.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
That's a good plan, though.
I don't know. Pick the big one.
Pick the big one.
Yeah, pick the big one. That's fine.
So do we need a
Who
motion?
wants to volunteer?
Do we need a
I
motion,
nominate
Bill?
Scott.
Yeah, but do we need a motion just to send the letter of intent?
Yes.
I move that we move forward in sending the letter of intent, if the executive branch will, send it, because it's got to come from them.
Second, or somebody second.
I'll
All
sec-
in favor?
Yeah, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
So do you want to set up a committee then, a review? And I'd suggest on whatever goes out that we put in there that we're, you know, just because you apply doesn't mean you're going to get it.
No.
Just
And
an
I'm
app-
sure we still have to apply after the letter of intent. I'm sure there'll be a full application that's more specific. One
So-
other thing I will warn, because I was really surprised by this, but when I volunteered a couple years ago to apply for the county to them for the money we didn't get, the match. At that point, and on one thing I've been involved with since then, they have said in the past, if you contact anyone at DMHA or FSSA and ask any questions about this money outside the one person they tell you publicly is the contact, they will disqualify your entity from receiving any money. They don't want anyone in politics going through any back doors, talking to anybody at DMHA or FSSA. So if anyone does intend to dig or ask questions, just be sure you only contact the person that they publicly say you're allowed to contact. I think her name's Emily Truelove.
Okay.
Is that on the email?
It's on the email that she's the contact. It doesn't say don't contact anyone else yet, but they will say that when they get to the application.
Scott, will you draft that letter of intent for the commission?
Sure, if you just forward me that.
Yes, I
email,
will, yeah, and Deb has it too.
And then I'll do it, yeah.
And we've got to get that out by June 30th.
I think speed is the way you get some of this stuff.
Okay,
What
so
we can
then,
do.
back to the other question about the process. Do we want to, does that start now through July something? Or how do you want to receive proposals to the county. We don't know if we will or won't get that money, but we do want to start receiving proposals.
It's gonna take a minute to get the word out that it's going to be made available, putting it on the website, and if
Probably should be mailed to the auditor's office, I'm guessing, using the same protocol you did for ARPA funds, make
we
it the
have to
easiest
rush.
way. You can probably make any little changes in there that you need to.
yeah, I'd rather out a little
Right,
bit.
because I
Let's-
think we're
let's
gonna
get through our
be,
budget
next
hearing.
month.
So
we're
this
gonna-
isn't
We can
just
have
for
our-
the residential, this is for
Everything.
the
The whole
use
800.
of,
Whole 800.
Oh,
okay, good.
the residential will only be,
We could have our
Portion of this.
PIO person do a big news blast.
There you go, there you go.
oh, so would you like to,
Well, no, not yet. I
okay,
just,
all right.
Okay, who wants to be the committee member?
I think Scott would do a good job, and I'm not trying to throw you under this bus,
Well,
Scott,
it's
but
just I'm on a ton of committees.
I know that's the way I feel about myself, so that's part of
I
it.
think
No,
Tammy
thanks.
should be on it, if she's willing to.
I do
I
too.
think Tammy's got more of a passion.
Yeah, she does.
Good with that?
And I know, because I know
Do I get to
she would have a
two other
conflict.
boards?
I'll have a conflict,
So,
so
I mean,
I don't want
that's,
to be in on
I
it.
know, she can't be on it, so
Robin?
otherwise I'd
Not
pick.
two other boards, if I get it.
Would you?
This committee.
I'm like Scott,
I
I'm
just
so
hope we
many
do
I'm
probably
missing,
20
I'm
people as
I'm missing
possible.
out. I can't do.
I'm not on it.
You have to have 10. You have to have
That's
3.
right.
You have to have 3.
So how about,
Well, you don't have to
Deb,
have
would
two.
you
You can
feel
just
like
make that
if
up.
it was covered without a subcommittee, if it was just covered in public meetings by the entirety, that seems as good or better than a committee? And I think it sounds like nobody really wants to be one of a few people in on it.
I want to be on a committee. I love committees.
Do you have a commissioner that would be interested? We could have Bill,
Bill said he's
okay?
doing it.
Bill, so why don't you and Tammy,
Bill's an expert.
I mean, there's no reason we have to have 3, is there?
The
you're
internal processes that we have
just
for
can't
these
have more
types of
than-
things clearly talks about the committee. So, I mean, I could change my internal control
The
for
committee.
next year's audit if I need to, if you just want to do it.
Yeah, I think they can be considered a subcommittee, just not meeting, but the full committee will opine upon it, which is, the internal control is there's no deal making, right?
Right.
Special deal making. And so if you keep it a public process, there's no special deal making. That's the internal control.
Right, and it's not that you have to have 3, you just can't have more than 3,
Right, right.
because then it would be a quorum.
All right. I'll join you guys. Then
Okay,
you
so
have
we've got Scott and Tammy. Bill?
finding a time of day.
Where you
might
get
be a
that
challenge.
extra money from, Scott, to pay for
What?
you get that extra money in your,
Oh, because I'm on a planning commission?
that's right. All that extra money we all get.
Oh, yeah, he's kidding.
I get extra, yeah. I get to deal with the PUD and go to those meetings too.
My committees.
So
We don't.
No, we don't.
what are we going, the verbiage of the letter, Scott would say, or not the verbiage of the letter, I'm sorry, that's a different thing. Our appeal to the public about accepting proposals, we would be saying that we are entertaining any proposal within Hancock County that meets an allowable use of the national opioid settlement. Is that, Scott, the verbiage we'd be?
Yeah, but then you're asking them that they're gonna have to know what that settlement says.
Would it not follow the same guidelines that we used when we accepted the original app that went out before, that we could condense?
Well, there was a lot more broad
Yeah,
originally.
that we
I
could
think
condense
that
it down from that, though.
You're gonna have to put in letter, I
what
think.
category we selected.
You're gonna
Yeah,
have to be a little more
and
specific.
No, no.
what it can be used for.
I'm sorry, I think we're talking about two different things, because there's the letter to the state that says we're gonna ask for
Right.
500,000 for
That's
recovered
different.
residents.
That's different, we're talking
We're
about.
talking about the
Talking about
application letter.
overall.
Yeah.
But like Tammy said, there's other things allowed, and if we got that, we'd have, even if we spent $1 million on recovery residences with the 500,000, that still leaves 300 some thousand for other allowable uses that aren't residences. So when we ask the public, when we ask Grayson to write about it and say, do you submit to the county your proposal? Are we what's our verbiage, that anything, submit a proposal for anything listed as an allowable use in exhibit E of the national
Have to-
opioid
You
settlement?
could also put in there what.
Now, are you guys decided on that 300,000 that's left for this year, that you don't want to use it for some of the programs that we currently have going on? Do you want it to be bid, do you want it to go through this process and give out?
That's my question. Do you guys want to only accept proposals towards recovery residents, or do you want to accept proposals for any allowable use?
I think we have to, because otherwise we get into
Yeah.
this exact conversation of,
Any allowable.
oh, I don't want to give you 50,000 for
If they want any-
training.
if they want any
for
penny of the
opioid money, or
800,000.
I don't want to give the fire departments,
How
Narcan.
how
think it
long
gets
is the
into-
section from the law that says the allowable use?
It's
How come you-
pages and pages.
It's pages and pages.
I mean, they have bullet points of, here are specific examples
Right.
under each section. But we want people to understand why they should
I'd like to see you three just
say,
come with
Right.
something
yes, I want to
that's-
apply for some opioid money
And then
because
we can vet
they do
them. If
this.
somebody comes in with
Why,
something.
why don't you work with Deborah to boil it down and bring it to the
Right.
council meeting proposal?
I'd give them
Okay.
the bullet points, and then you guys will vet them. If someone comes in and something's not allowable, we can't even entertain it.
We just tell them.
Right. I have a feeling you're gonna have a hard time getting a lot of things to come in.
There won't be, it'll probably be the same
Because
4 or
it's-
5 we've
it's
already heard.
tough to meet those
When
criteria.
the ARPA money was out there, we got a lot of,
Yeah.
we got quite a few asks.
I think we'll find
So-
quite a few people and places and, that, there may be churches that, hey, we hold these meetings or we do this program. Is this our opportunity to ask for some?
Well, I had
Yes, I
heard
hope you
those
do.
kind of
I
stories
want you
too.
to.
That those that.
Yeah, that's fine.
that got-
See.
Wasn't
They-
CASA one of
So-
them that had made a nice request, but they didn't get any money at all the last time?
Did not get any money when But that's fine.
But, so I think
Program's
there's,
still going
I
strong.
think there's good programs
A lot
out
of
there.
people
We
do
just
good
need to.
programs.
I do
Ask
think
for
when you
them.
look at the verbiage in the national opioid settlement, that some of it is, like Tammy's brought up, like Narcan, some of it's the purchase of like tangibles, but on recovery services, the word expand is in there quite a bit, so before you put it out to the public, I would just check with Scott on the verbiage, because I don't know. I've even told Scott, does it have to expand? Can it maintain something that's already there?
Well, I think we would come up with something that legal review would be done upon it to make sure we're
Right.
not offering anything.
Yeah, what I would probably do is quote verbatim from the exhibit.
That's a good idea, yeah, quote verbatim.
What time is it?
Yeah, and one thing I want to make sure that the public understands
Oh,
that
we're way
this is
past.
opioid money.
Jim, we're way past, we're behind.
So, but it's important for the
Let's do it.
public to understand that.
Propose
It's not
something.
Why don't you
tax
guys pick a
dollars.
The
deadline?
one, what, we're,
Well, the only other thing is,
Last
Deb,
budget.
remember when we said in Hancock County, you need to define. Do you want them incorporated in, serving in, building in? Because we had during the ARPA, someone over there in another county saying, well, we work in Hancock County. So,
okay.
get it defined.
Let's move on. Next agenda item
Walmart.
is Walmart.
Right?
Walmart will be coming to us probably in the council meeting for an abatement request for personal property to finish out the existing building that they have for about $440 million of personal property. So we ask Greg to go through the tax abatement for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and 10 years for when they come. We're not deciding anything today, but we're getting the information to us on what the parameters are for tax abatement at those different levels.
Correct.
So
And so
that's
you
what
have
you
that
got.
document in front of you. You should have had it from last week. And so keep in mind that the assumption is here after SB 1, so it'll be new personal property. Good news as we explore the true tax value factors. This is Pool 2. Pool 2 will, if you look at first page, it will not go at this point in time below 0.15. So so 30% floor is eliminated, but there is implied 15% floor as it applies today for pool 2. Keep in mind, there's 4 pools. This is 5 to 8 year property, we've assumed. That's what the majority of it is. But you could have pool 1, which has a floor of 20. Pool 2 has a floor of 15. Pool 3 has a floor of 10, and pool 4, 5.
And you're showing 25 years, so are you assuming that that's?
No, sir, that's our model just set up that way, and we're just assuming, that some of the value will hang around. So,
Do you?
yeah,
Okay.
So does anyone know if the,
there's no guarantees.
has there been any discussion between this request and any request from, say, Buck Creek Township Fire, that there could be some exchanges made for approving the abatement?
So I'm not aware of any of
that
those.
they'll buy a new fire truck? Or,
This
just,
is the first I've heard of anything with, they haven't come and approached the commissioners.
yeah, I would think there needs to be some before we vote on an
Just-
abatement
We're
application.
not voting on anything.
Well, not today, but you're saying next week you're going to. They're not on-
Sometimes, yeah.
They're not on next week's agenda? Well, good. Let's just push it till the next month then.
Can
And I
I
would
give you a
just-
compliment?
Yes.
Because I don't generally give.
No, you don't. So
compliments. Sorry.
can I feel and see if the floor,
Yeah, I know.
froze over?
You did this, I love this. It was easy to understand. It answered all my questions. It was stuff, I didn't know that there was this much revenue and stuff after abatement. We had all those questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Makes it a lot easier for all of us to make intelligent decisions. You did a good job.
And the other thing to remember is, I think that this is in the TIF area, but the TIF does not collect this money.
Right.
It goes directly to the taxing units.
Right, the schools get a good majority of this money.
And when they first came, we gave them a 10-year tax abatement. So if we don't follow that, it's sort of like a bait and switch in my mind. And the other factor is, I can say that Walmart is looking at purchasing an existing 1.2 million square foot building, not adjacent to their building, but close. It's in it's in the area. And it's one of the existing empty buildings.
Speaking of schools, I know Renee from the foundation's here, talked last night after a planning commission that that Walmart has helped the foundation by tens of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to bring that. She is here if anybody wanted to talk to her afterwards or now, whatever. But I know they haven't helped the fire department, but that's the only thing I've heard that Walmart's done to help the community. Is what
I had the trustee from Buck Creek Township reach out and just wanted us to know that they had made multiple requests to Walmart over the years, and they've been denied every time.
Well, it's important to know our TIF district is a little different than a lot of TIF districts because we do not accept we don't take the personal property tax into our TIF district. And that was set up years ago. My father helped do that and everything, and they foresaw that and that's a good thing, okay? And we fought to keep it that way. And as long as I'm on the RDC, it won't change. In the future, though, the TIF district could capture that money and hoard it. But it's worth saying that the mentality since the beginning of this has been that personal property tax does not drop into the TIF district.
Yeah, but personal property will go away.
Yes, I know.
Someday.
Yeah.
And if you hoarded, if the RDC were to hoard money, that would send a red flag out to the SBOA.
Right.
Right. But most other TIFs keep that money.
I did meet with Dr. Parker, Superintendent of Mount Vernon Schools recently, and SB1 is making a significant impact to their budget, but they do not know how they will fill the void. So,
And the second building that they are buying will also have to be outfitted. So we'll probably see a similar request for personal property in this second building.
Does that other building already have a property tax abatement?
surely.
Yeah.
But it might be vacant.
It does.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the building will still continue.
Right, right. No, yeah, but it's,
Yes,
one-
it
it
does.
might be one of our vacant buildings.
Yeah, he said it was. Yeah.
So, Jim, I have nothing else unless there's a question on these numbers. But Keely, by the way, I did get a couple other council people. The July 1 is actually August 1 for LIT.
Oh, good.
So we got a little breathing.
Oh, good.
Super.
Okay, other items down here. The food and beverage sunset, bringing that up because when the food and beverage tax that we have was created at the state level, they did not put a sunset in it. And it says when the bond for the Lucas Oil Stadium is paid off, which is like 2035 or so, something like that. The entire food and beverage tax then will go to the county that implemented it. So our rate then will double, approximately
Our amount
double.
will double at that point.
But when we at the local level wrote the ordinance implementing the income the food and beverage tax, we put a sunset in it. So I think we need, you looked at that.
Yeah, you
Scott?
know, and Deb was kind enough to provide me, there's been several iterations of that. And when I looked, my recollection is off the top of my head that the sunset provision fell out in a later version of the ordinance. So, and I told you I will recheck that, but I don't think it's in them.
You can
In the
blame
last
Jim.
one that was done. As you point out, the state doesn't have one, so we did.
Yeah.
And,
This is one of the.
yeah, what's the
No,
year
that
on
was
it?
four,
Does she-
4 years before,
Now, this is 2005.
2005, yeah. No, I wasn't.
Oh, you were here again, believe me?
No, I wasn't here. That was, Jim was here.
Jim was here.
He was one that pushed that sunset.
At any rate,
We know.
just
If
to.
it does, then we're gonna need to amend, if this is the one that still applies, there's been several, then we'll wanna amend that, obviously. So, let me get a copy.
So we'll refer that to you and.
Yes,
Okay.
I would take care of it.
Most of
And I
us
know
will be
we've
gone
got
by
some
then,
requests
but
from the
we don't want to
state that
set up some
they're
future
looking into
council
food
to
and
have the
beverage.
food and beverage tax go.
Surprise email that the state is looking into the
Where
food
are
and
the
beverage.
I put down here, amend or change the
Yeah, that's what I told you.
abatement
They're gonna audit
procedure.
What is he saying?
And that's, they're gonna start auditing it.
Greg, what are you saying?
So Deborah said, they got a letter from the state that they're going to be looking into food and beverage. And that's what I meant by they're going to start auditing it and really make sure that everybody's spending it according to their statutes. Everybody has different ones.
And our statute says we can spend it on anything.
Yeah,
Legal,
and
legal.
that'll be
It's gotta be legal.
important to, even if
Anything.
we amend the sunset, to make sure we reiterate.
Yeah.
Say that
I
again,
know.
but then the state
I
can
know.
turn around and put restrictions, so we might
I
have to
think we need to approve the
what
minutes.
they say. And there might be another amendment, that's hypothetical.
Looking at it
They
right
give
now.
us different requirements.
Yeah, we got to approve the
than
minutes.
what we have in our
And target fund balance.
Well,
Can we
we'll
call-
bring back Ken Lane
But we'll worry about
We
that
need to-
when it happens.
That's why I told Jim he cannot go anywhere for the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. What's the abatement procedure?
The abatement procedure, Greg?
Yes.
You're saying don't change it?
Right, so I looked at the abatement application and it says, according to the economic development agreement, remember, we always recommend an economic development agreement, and within the agreement, there was an economic development payment. So we wouldn't have the payment, but the application, I believe, is okay.
Need the agreement, you just.
Okay.
Yeah, you want an agreement no matter what.
I saw that too when I forwarded that on to Lisa, and I wondered if the days are going to the wayside, do we just need to revise the form that it doesn't?
Well, we have been,
Those?
The payment part is, but the economic development agreement itself is still part of
right,
Okay.
the process.
yeah. And have been contacted by a developer, and Scott, we're going to need to set up a specific meeting with you and Deb.
Can I approve the
Second.
second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass.
Greg,
Start.
on that, what you just said, is that relative to
I've got
appealing
something for
it?
your group before you say, I want to adjourn.
No, we got a couple more things, but we're trying real hard to get there.
Tell me when you're ready and I'll.
Okay, we're
Well,
trying to get
we're an
there.
auditor business, I think.
Yeah, we're auditor business now.
We've got one more thing, at least, target fund balances. We did change a couple of things. Rainy day, we added self-insurance, and we increased the health claims fund, so I didn't see was a copy of that in the?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here.
You got it, okay.
So is it resolution 2025-6-?
Do you want to just review it this week and adopt it next week?
We can do that.
That's fine.
Yeah,
we
let's
can
let's
adopt
do
it next
that.
week.
Yeah, we'll adopt it next week.
Okay, Deb, do you not have any auditor's business?
I do not.
Bill, you had something?
Request to, and I don't know who does all this, so we would like to use Greg Duda as the county's public information officer. Works under John Jaconis right now, but we feel, the commissioners, it's something that'll help enhance transparency, continue to promote positive community stories about us, which we want out there, boost just overall awareness for us and help support some crisis communication. We've realized that with a certain thing that just recently happened, we really need to have that in addition to what the reporter writes about us. So what we need is to change to make an addition to his job title that says Public Information Officer for the county, as well as he's the Public Information Officer for 911. And then John Jaconis, out of the kindness of his heart, said that he would help pay this additional stipend that we had thought about giving him. It's $2,750, and that would come out of his budget.
Does he need to add it for 2026?
Do you need to add it for 2026?
Oh, no. Oh, just say yes.
It's okay.
I did not in my 2026 budget yet.
Okay.
Because, and I know everything closed yesterday, so I didn't know if we were also going to do an addition for this year as a part of that. He already gets a stipend for us for being our PIO there. This would add another $2,750, which would take it up to a $5,000 stipend. That would come out of our budget. We'd pay the overtime for now. We'd watch that to see if we would need to do something for next year. But we're good with this.
He's not exempt.
Correct. Yeah.
How did you go from 2,700 to 5,000? You lost me there.
He's already paid to be public information for 911.
Yeah.
Oh.
So another 2,750 will get him to 5,000.
Correct, yeah. And he does EMAs as well.
I think it's important if we go ahead and do it this year, because we have so many controversial things on our plate. I think it'd be very helpful. I
So
don't know
let's
what the
say
commissioners think.
somebody had to put a great spin on increasing lit to the public. That's the information that never gets out there, that somebody like this could help add
And give the public the
Deb, do we
true
need to do a
facts.
thumbs up or anything, or is this just to let us know this is,
It would,
you've already got the funding and they have approved it, the commissioners approved it, do we need to
would
act?
would it change the salary ordinance,
Yeah,
I
we
guess
need
is the
to-
question.
Just amend the salary ordinance?
So I can put all that together if you'd like.
And would that change the budget you turned in that we've already looked at?
It would, yes. I didn't want to put it in there and think that this was gonna
Right,
happen, so,
right,
but
'cause,
it would
yeah, we
add.
can talk
yeah.
Oh,
Question
yeah, I've
didn't
got
come
one more
up
thing.
until.
So after we had our meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure it's included in the job description, so we don't
Right, we
have
do, yeah,
5
and
different jobs one person's doing,
Right.
it's not clean.
we have a job currently as, you know, he follows his supervisor one, but we also have a separate one for the PIO team. We have to create the new one, and I've already started asking around to different municipalities who have their own PIOs that deal with, you know, municipal or countywide, so we can update that job
So
description.
this person has 1 or 2 job descriptions.
Well, most of our people have two because they have their regular day-to-day operational job, and then they do, whether they're trainers, whether they're PIOs, whether they're QA, quality assurance, whether they're, because instead of hiring more people, we tend to allow our people to be, get to do other things. So,
All right, thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
I have one more thing before we adjourn, is I was asked, just this morning, is that Bob Highland with the Green Township Fire Department has asked for $10,000 to replace their hoses. So we need to give that,
Their hoses?
their hoses. That's what I wrote down.
That sounds like important
Did
equipment.
he say that?
Yeah,
Space?
pretty important.
Yeah, we don't want leaky hoses.
Yeah.
So
They don't have the money to pay for it themselves. right?
evidently not,
Okay.
and so I'd like to ask that the council give that consideration, and then we can vote on it.
Next week?
Next week, if
Okay.
that
Okay.
seems to be the consensus, of-
For food and beverage, probably?
probably so.
Okay.
You folks need Bob to be here or?
No.
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 I wouldn't.
Can you put it on the agenda next week for us?
Did you give us a
No,
amount?
it's
$10,000.
10,000, okay.
action items.
Do we need any motion for the Greg Duda, public information officer thing?
That's what I asked, since you guys approved it and he's funding it, I don't know, the council has to,
We'll have to do the
other
salary.
than the salary ordinance.
Salary.
Salary ordinance, that'll approve it.
Yeah, so do we need a motion to amend it?
No. She'll do the salary ordinance.
Yeah.
Salary ordinance,
perfect.
and
We'll
we'll
vote on
agree
that.
to that.
Meeting.
Yeah.
We're adjourned.
I
Thank
move
you.
we adjourn.
Judges
All
want
aye.
to talk?
Yes.